Being broke isn't just a bank account problem, it's a thinking problem. The way you think about time, risk, and effort matters more than your income. I had money coming in, but I was still broke. Until I realized I had to reprogram my habits, not just my budget. This video breaks down the psychology that kept me stuck and how I broke free. You see, most people think that they are one raise away from fixing everything. But the truth is, income does not fix broken habits. A few years ago, I thought my problem was not making enough, so I focused on earning more. And I did, slowly. But somehow, I was still broke. I could cover the essentials, rent, food, transportation, bills. And whatever was left, I'd spend some and save the rest for the next thing I was interested in. The problem, as soon as I bought that thing, I was back to zero. The issue wasn't my paycheck. It's how I thought about money. I was trapped in a never-ending cycle. Everything I did was to feel better either now or in the near future. I wasn't out there swiping credit cards recklessly without thinking of consequences, but they still existed. And in my case, the consequence was to never build toward a better future. When you're constantly chasing small hits of pleasure, you train your brain to avoid long-term thinking. That's dopamine economics. The brain rewards fast gratification. Buying something, watching a reel, browsing for deals, even day trading. But building wealth, that's delayed gratification. And your brain resists that by default. That's why so many people know what to do, invest, save, budget, but they don't do anything. Because logic doesn't stand a chance against a brain addicted to comfort. And if you don't actively fight that wiring, you'll stay stuck in the same loop for decades, if not your whole life. But before we continue, if you find value in my videos, please leave me a like and subscribe to help me grow my channel. It would mean a lot to me. With that said, let's get back to the video. In my early 30s, I had an okay job, but almost no assets, no investments. Not because I was poor, but because I had normalized being broke. And then it hit me. I'll be working for the rest of my life. How many of you have said that? I didn't know what to do to fix it. And like many people, I just accepted it as a fact and I moved on. But in 2022, two things happened that changed everything. First, I got a new job. And after a while, I was required to contribute a portion of my salary to a pension plan with a 100% employer match. That money was invested into a locked account, tax deferred, similar to an RSP or a 401k in America. I didn't know what I was doing, so I read a little bit and I picked a few funds almost at random. But I was investing for the first time. Second, my partner pushed me to save aggressively for a mortgage down payment. So I went to the bank, they suggested a TFSA and a low-risk mutual fund. I signed up. Now, we fast forward a year and a half later. I looked back at both accounts and I was shocked at how much I had saved without even trying that hard. That was the shift. I dove into personal finance, started tracking everything, not just expenses, but also time, attention, and habits. And then I saw a pattern. Every time I was bored, stressed, or tired, I'd look for something to buy. I'd scroll endlessly. I'd avoid the hard stuff. I wasn't lazy. I was just mentally trained to escape discomfort. Breaking that cycle didn't happen overnight. I didn't suddenly become disciplined. I just removed the triggers. I deleted shopping apps, set up automatic transfers to my broker, wrote down meals for the week, and started treating boredom as a signal to reflect, not escape. Most importantly, I stopped chasing motivation and built systems that made good choices easier. Every paycheck, a portion disappears straight into investments before I even see it. Here's what I learned. Motivation gets you started, but only that. Willpower fails when friction is low. Make bad habits hard to perform, and you'll avoid them. Make good habits easy and attractive, and they'll stick. It's boring, but it works. Truly. Because when your environment changes, your behavior follows. Once you break the dopamine trap, something shifts. You start to feel good doing boring things. Because now you know they're building something much bigger. You pay yourself first, so future you can breathe easier. You think in decades, not in impulse swings. When you spend, it's intentional, and you cut off what doesn't matter, without guilt. Wealth grows quietly, and so does self-respect. Most people want a life that feels good, but what you really want is a life that feels stable, predictable, and peaceful. That only comes when you stop chasing highs and start building habits that compound. If you're still broke, despite having income, don't just look at your budget, look at your behavior. The moment I stopped trying to feel better now and started building for later, everything changed. Not instantly, but permanently. Rewire how you think, and your bank account follows. Now, if you're having trouble visualizing how small, consistent investments grow with compound interest into real wealth, watch this video next. I'll see you there.